Okay, I was thinking about it, and if I've got holes in these things, can hang them up near the heater, it's going to speed up the drying process. So this thing gets a thumb screw hole, and the other one gets a pivot hole near the end, so I can go ahead and drill like pilot versions of those. That'll give me something to hang them up with so they'll dry faster. These are still damp actually, but sorry, I'm blocking the view here, aren't I? Do it this way. Basically, you see what I see. That's that. So that's straight. Yeah, relatively straight. Cool. Grab the other bar. I really should start using the drill press for all my drilling. Be more precise about things. Stop being lazy. I've got the drill press. I like almost never use it. It's terrible. Okay. Which side should go which way? Let's see, I guess we want the prettiest side to go forward. Well, that's either going to be the front or the back because of the fact that this is a little bit wider than that is. So, okay, so we're going to either put this side forward or we can put that side forward. That's the green side. We don't want that forward. Well, the wood's yellow, which makes the dye more green. That's going to be the worst side of the four. So we'll put this on the front. And then which end do we put out? We put this at the base and that at the other end. Yeah, that'll work. So we put our hole here. Say about there. And once again, pretty straight. Sweet. Alright, now we can get these on a hanger, get them dried. Okay, while the swing bar parts are in the paint shop, it's time to get this neck ship shape. Even once we get the swing bar parts, we're still going to need some more little bits of wood. We're going to need a bridge block, and I suppose that probably ought to be finished to match the guitar. That would probably be a nice touch. And if I put a depth pick guard on it, then it's going to need a stand, which likewise, it'd be a nice touch if that was finished to match. And that kind of stuff. Maybe even make the depth pick guard out of some pine plywood and then finish that to match as well. So few possibilities there. But yeah, there's still little bits and pieces, and if you want it all to match, then, and all these guitars I build, they're all custom one-offs. No twos. The closest I ever came to reproducing a guitar is when I took this scarab body that had the neck that was too small, and basically I used the bottom of it to trace out. I used it as a template to draw out, to mark out the outline of the new body. And then I changed it and added a triangular heel just like this one, and reposition. I redid this from scratch based on the heel instead of just tracing that. And that's the closest I've ever come to, like, using a template or using a blueprint or anything like that. So these are all one-offs. So as you go along, yeah, you gotta, it's not like I've got a list of, oh, I need a piece of wood this size, and a piece of wood that size, and a piece of wood the other size, and so I can just make it all and stain it all. So, very much a wait-and-see custom one-off proposition. But that's part of the coolness factor of these guitars, I guess. So, oh, I stand corrected. When I did the Curve Tri and the Curve Tri tail tuner guitars, I did both bodies at the same time. I cut them both out. I marked out the first one, then used it as a template in order to mark out the second one. That's the only other time I've ever done anything like that. Everything else is one-off. And each of those builds actually was one-off too. They just started with the same shaped body. But one was a no-head guitar and one had a headstock, so they were definitely different builds. This might take a while. Well, doesn't look too bad. There's a little spot there. Doesn't look too bad. What are these frets looking like? When I sanded it, I did come over the edge here and try to get these ends a bit. And they're showing a few scratch marks because of that. And they're still a little spiky. Just a little. They could use a little attention. And yeah, this hasn't really been rolled much at all. So yeah, I think a rolling and rounding with some sandpaper. And then on the side here, if I want to go for the oil finish on the fingerboard side, then I'm going to have to sand this back because it's mostly acrylic at the moment. I suppose I could just leave it acrylic. That is an option. I'm going to need a little fine grit sandpaper to clean up the nut. It's kind of cruddy looking. Alright. Well, I'll start by getting the rest of the tape off. I think what's going on is that it's just a hint of fret sprout down here especially. Just a hint. Not enough to really require a file or anything, I don't think, but that's the reason why they feel rough. Usually these necks are pretty nice straight out of the box, so this one's feeling a little rougher than usual. It's been hanging around for a year or something now, and now the humidity in this place is way down compared to where it normally is because of the heater for drying parts. So yeah, that's probably the reason why this needs attention, because this definitely feels sharper than your typical orange dot neck that you get off of eBay. Normally they don't really need much of anything. Okay, let's see. Gonna need a little lacquer thinner. Okay, so that right there is the spot that needs to be cleaned up. There you go, now you can see it. And I'm wondering what's going to be the least expensive way this could be done. Now, I've heard that you can use a razor blade and scrape, but my concern is that I've used sandpaper to sand, and you always end up with whichever one you sand looks different from the rest, unless you sand them all the same. And so I used to end up sanding entire fretboards a whole lot. Now, just hitting this with a little lacquer thinner should do the trick, but then we have to add lacquer thinner to the list of supplies. So we're trying to do this inexpensively, right? I'm thinking maybe a razor blade, or give it a try at least. If it looks like it's gonna force me to like scrape the whole thing, I don't think I'll do that. Or maybe I should just use the lacquer thinner and be safe. Maybe I'll just use the lacquer thinner and be safe. I want to try to make sure that I don't get any like over on the sides, because it will dissolve finish. It will dissolve almost any finish as near as I can tell, due to the fact that it's like got all kinds of solvents in it. Many different kinds. It's got like Zoline or xylene, however you say it, and it's got acetone and all kinds of things. But I think that's, I think I've got too much on this rag. Yeah, I think that's got it. That didn't look bad at all. And the rest of them, nothing looks terribly terrible. I hear a cat fight. I might have to go break up. Yeah, the rest of it looks okay. Okay, these are dry and ready to be sanded back. Getting a lot of mileage out of one piece of 80 grit. Just want to bring it back a little bit. See, something like that. That'll give it a hint of pink. That's going to be the bottom side. So As you can see, it doesn't take much sanding back for this technique. All depends on how pink versus purple you want. Got some nice looking ingrain going on here. Should give us some nice little stripes. That's why I'm taking off a little bit more blue. If you can catch that in the camera. This other side's a little easier to see maybe. Yeah, it's still kind of hard to see, but yeah, that should work. So that's that one. I'll go ahead and do this bar. Okay, this one's been sanded back and it's time for some red. Just occurred to me that fret erasers would be another way to clean up that spot, possibly. But again, I think you might have issues depending on what grit or fret eraser you use. Like sandpaper, it could leave it looking not uniform. You'd end up having to run the fret rubber or eraser over all the fretboard, which is, I mean, it's not that bad, but this definitely does a nice job, though. Okay, I got a bit of 600 grit here. We'll see what it does as far as like cleaning up these fretboard edges goes. I'm trying to maintain an angle so that I am like just hitting the ends of the frets. You might see them starting to polish up a bit from this and get a bit shinier on the ends. And I'm also getting the very edge of this. I'll get it a bit more in a minute here. I find that oftentimes this sort of a thing is sufficient to take care of any roughness. And then this just kind of polishes the ends a little bit. If they happen to have a little burr or a little sharper edge on them, this will take it off. This combined with what you'll see me do next. Might need another piece of sandpaper. Okay, now that's pretty much everything except for this one. Right in there. Right in there. That might have it. A little better. Maybe I should hit it with a file. Yeah, let me hit it with a file. Fretted and dressing file. Relatively inexpensive on eBay. You can use an emery board. You can use a wood block. Actually, I've got a tool here that'll do this. Wait a sec. A $low tool. Here we go. I found it. It's just a piece of, I guess this is more of that 80 grit on a super glued to a wood block. I just need to just barely nip this edge here. And since it's done this way, I can use it safely without messing up the fretboard. I just need to looks like it wasn't really beveled well. There, that's got it. Sorry that wasn't on camera, but yeah, that's got it. I just kind of came it around here and sanded it a little bit. that just put ever slight of a notch. I mean, you know, same idea as doing this thing. Yeah. So, on to the other side. So this is the side that's needs help more. Might actually have to use the roll it up trick. Better, but still a little harsh.